I do have a question.
Sure.
I was a little confused with the arrow. Oh,
Arrow functions.
yeah, with the arrow function. Like I was just trying to get like I guess like a regular like definition of it. Is it the same as just like a regular function, just a different way to write it?
Yeah, that's a good question you're asking too. And for those who didn't already get to JavaScript, she's talking about JavaScript. And this is a good segue to say, like, I think everyone should jump into the JavaScript also, whenever you get a chance. But I'm gonna quickly show the arrow functions. So basically, there's two ways to write functions. The first way, or the old way of writing a function, is something like this. You start off with the function declaration. This is a keyword that's in JavaScript. And then you give it a name. I'm just going to call it my function. And then you give it these opening and closing parentheses and these curly brackets. But this function has some downfalls to it. The first one is that without getting into too much, this arrow function takes up a lot less space than this one here. And it doesn't look like it from first glance, but when you start digging into what you can do with arrow functions, that's when like arrow functions start to become like a lot less code to write. So these two things, as it is right now, they do the exact same thing. Did you get to did you get to parameters yet, or like adding things inside of here, like
So I did. I did, but after that video, I stopped watching because I didn't want to move on without being 100% sure
Yeah.
of that pro function. So that's like I literally the last thing I wrote down was the parameter being the variable being
Right.
passed into the function.
Right. So with variables, that's whenever you start adding variables and stuff like that, that's when the arrow function starts to become better. So if I add like one variable here with an arrow function, if I have one variable, I don't have to add these parentheses around it. And you probably didn't get to something called a return keyword since you just got to parameters. But once we get there, we're going to be able to get rid of like even these curly brackets, and it starts to become shorter and shorter. And like this one becomes like it becomes like a one-liner almost, whereas this function, you can never really make this one shorter. And there's other benefits also that it's going to be kind of hard to explain right now, but yeah, just know that arrow functions are just written, they're the same for the most part, but they're just written a little bit different. So, and once we get to the return keyword, I'll explain further like what you can actually do with it to make it shorter. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question or if it's
Yeah, that's. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, like because I wasn't. I know you said they was the same thing, but I don't know. I guess I just kind of got confused, thinking that it was something like different.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same. I honestly I don't use the old functions anymore. I only write arrow functions. Yeah, a lot of people only like write the arrow functions too. It's more modern. So, yeah. Once we get into something called scope, I'm gonna show you another difference between both of these. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any more questions? I can take one more before we start.
Oh, we didn't start yet?
No, we're about to.
Perfect, right on time.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no more questions, I'll just start. Let me delete this JavaScript file. Okay. So by now, go ahead.
Sorry for interrupting you, bro. Will we be finishing what we started on Sunday?
Yeah, we're starting from there.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. So by now, everybody should have went through the first and second section. If you have not gone through the first and second section, it's better if you hold your questions to the end, because I don't want to slow down the class because you haven't kept up with everyone, and it's only 40 minutes long. So yeah, so just leave your questions to the end if you didn't already finish those 2 seconds. Also, yeah. Yeah, I don't want anybody to feel like they can't ask any questions. If you already finished the first 2 sections, feel free to jump in with the questions, because like I said, this is to reinforce, not to learn from this session, because we only have so much time, and I'm trying to make sure everybody have enough knowledge to get a job. So that's the goal. But yeah, last time we left off here where we had this black box. And I also pointed out that there is a border around it. There's this white border right here. So this is actually not a border. What this is some margin. And I'm going to open up the dev tools because I showed you towards the end of section 2, the dev tools. And I'm going to hover over body. When I hover over the body tag, we can see that there's like an orange, there's an orange outlining. And if I scroll down here to the actual box model, I can see that the margin that's on the body has it's actually 8. It has a margin of 8. And that is why we have this, that's why this black area is not pushed up against the edges here. So what we can do is target the body. Do anybody remember how to target a tag name like in CSS? For example, this is targeting by ID. Like, how do I target this body tag in CSS?
Is it dot?
Almost. The dot is for classes. So with tags, you just put the tag name. So tags, you put the tags names, the IDs, you put the hashtags, and dots is for classes. So I'm going to target the body, and I'm going to give a margin of 0. I'm going to save this. Go back here and then refresh. And we can now see that this is now up against the edge here because the body now has a margin of 0. Something I didn't teach in the class is something called a reset CSS. Now, reset CSS basically resets all of the added margin, padding, and everything like that to all of the HTML elements. If we look at, to give you some background, if you look at the Chrome browser and you look at Internet Explorer versus Firefox, when you start looking at the stuff on the screen, you're gonna notice, if you really look at it, you will notice that different things have different sizes. Even different things have different margin and different padding also. And that's why you never get something that looks exactly the same from browser to browser. What this reset CSS is it resets all of the default CSS that's applied to the browser. And then from there, we get to add our own CSS to it. That way we can keep Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever browser you're currently using, we'll have our layout look the same across all browsers. So in order to reset all of those, default CSS rules, I'm just going to copy this. This is called a CSS reset or a normalized CSS. It's just gonna take out all of the default like CSS. And if I paste this in, I'm gonna delete the body one because it's already included here. We have body here, and we have a margin of 0. So it's literally given the body, the HTML body spans like all of those head tags, even tags we never even went over. It's giving all of those tags a margin of 0, padding 0, border 0. It's basically removing all of the default CSS that the browser applies to the HTML elements. Does that make sense? I don't know if that sounded too confusing. Okay. So I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to leave this.
Isaiah.
Yeah, I have a question too.
Sure.
Where did you get the
Question. The file that you just extracted all the text that was pasted in your HTML file, right? Are you going to send that to us as a link or what?
Yeah. So this right here is a Google extension. You can download it. It's called Grepper, Grepper. We can see it right here. If you go to file extensions, you can download this. So whenever you search coding related problems, what it does is it shows like a mini text editor, and it gives you the answer right there. That way you don't have to search through websites to try to figure out the answer to your programming problems. It's basically good for programmers to search for things. That's the benefit of it.
Cool, appreciate it.
Yeah. And all of this code is all going to be saved on the drive also. So and I'm actually going to move all of this to a different CSS file just to keep this as neat as possible. And I'll just name this reset.css. Did someone else have a question?
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing. I was going to ask where you got that from. I didn't get it, but I got it.
So I'm sorry, just going back though, I put reset CSS, and I got I didn't get that particular file that you kept.
This one here. Yeah, I just now searched it. I just copied this stuff here.
No, and that's my point. I put reset CSS in my my browser, and I did not get the text that you just got.
Right. Yeah, because you have to download the Grepper extension for Google. If you go to extensions, Google extensions, you can download Grepper from there. It's basically an add-on. They have a whole store full of like essentially apps that you can attach to your browser, and one of them is called Grepper.
It's called Record, you said?
Grepper. I'll leave the link, actually. It's right here.
Got it.
I have a question.
Download. Yeah. What's your question?
So I have the CSS reset. Can I paste it anywhere on CSS, or do it have to be like at the top?
So what I had, you can paste it anywhere in the CSS file, but what I did specifically, I just created this reset CSS file here. I created an extra one and just threw all of that stuff in here, so that it's separate from the rest of the CSS. And
but do you have to link it, or?
Right. Yep. You got to link it. So in HTML, I just have linked this. Yeah. I didn't like say I was doing it, but I was like linking it as someone was asking a question, but I just linked it here. So.
Okay. Got it.
So yeah. With this being said, like you can link as many CSS files as you want. You can add as many CSS files as you want. It's really up to you. And if I go back to, where is it? Here and then refresh, we can still see that like that margin is not there because we removed it with the reset CSS. So yeah, let me go to the template. Go back to this template that we're trying to create. So this was the goal, to create this. That black box represents this purple box here. So what I'm going to do is change the background color of that black box to this purple box. Now I already have the colors ready, the colors for it. The color for that purple is here. This is like a purple color. I'm not sure if I recorded this part last time, but these are, before you saw me just use black, just the color black. But now I'm using a hex color, and hex colors are different ways of representing colors. they're more like specific ways to represent colors. So this is the exact color, the exact like color of violet this box is. So if I refresh this, we can see that now it's the same color. You're free to play around with these colors too. But yeah, that's that. And
I'm sorry. Did you give us the hex code for 8525FF? Did you put that into the
yeah,
put that in the chat?
yeah. Let me put this in there. So that is the first one. So yeah, let me paste in the reset CSS also for anybody that couldn't find that. So that's that right there. And you can link it, like I said, within the HTML file here. All right. So now that we have this div down, I'm going to do this one next, this one here. So we knew that this purple one took up 70% of the width. So the remaining is the 30% here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another div, and I'm going to give it an ID of top right, because it's on the top right. That's just me trying to make it as descriptive as possible. So this is the top right box. If I save it and go back here, like we see nothing here because we still didn't style it at all. So now I'm about to style this in the CSS. What I'm gonna do, paste that. I'm gonna copy this stuff and just redo it. So the width was 30 viewport width. That's 30% of the width of the screen, and the height is 100. And that color for this one, I have that one also. That's the top right. That's this one, and I'll paste this in the chat also. That's the color for the next one. Save this. If I go back here and then refresh, you still don't see it, but if I scroll down, we can see that it's right here at the bottom. So the difference between this one and this one is that these two are stacked right next to each other. So I'm gonna do some CSS so that they're stacked next to each other. In order for me to do that, I'll do this a little bit different. So last week, a few people stayed after, and I showed them how to do this, but I'm gonna show a different way than what I showed last week. What I'm gonna do is create a div, right? And I'm gonna paste in those two divs that we already had on the screen. Now I'm doing this for a reason. I'm just gonna refresh the screen to show you that we still have the exact same thing. A refresh is still the same thing because now the difference is that these two now have a parent. They're now inside of like of a box in a sense of an outer div. And if I open up the dev tools in the elements tab, we can see that parent is right here. And if I open that up, we can see the top left and we can see the top right here. Now, if I give the parent a class of
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It might be me, but I copied the code from the grepper file as you instructed, but I'm still just seeing the solid color, and my color actually is kind of a blue. Well, it's like yours now. It's a different color, purple, but yours is a blue, and that's the same as mine. So I got the same. This looks different on different screens, but nevertheless, I don't have the white. I just have a solid solid blue.
You don't have this one, you're saying?
I don't have that brown.
Yeah. Add this one here, top right div.
Top right. Oh, hold on. We had it.
Let me put that in.
You haven't, remember it. You haven't put in these codes yet.
So that purple box is this first one here, and that like brown box, like light brown, is this second div.
Okay, got it.
And I styled it also. I styled it with this. I'll paste this in the chat also. And you can throw that in your main.css. And you should see the brown box pop up. All right, so when we add that, you'll see it, and I'll add my HTML also, just so you're so that we're on the same page, or if anybody else was missing it, that's all the code that you'll need.
So you put first you put the div ID, and then you put the top right underneath it.
Right, exactly. Yep. Top left is above it, and top right is right underneath.
So you just copy that whole section. Okay, gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I pasted in is this from line 15 to 21. So I'm gonna give this parent an ID, and I'm gonna just name this just top. I'm just name it top by itself. And the parent, I'm gonna style it with this here, and I'm gonna give it a display flex. Now I'm gonna show you what this does, just so you know what this is. Let me refresh. If I refresh, you can see that both of them are now stacked next to each other. Basically, I'm seeing here an echo. So basically, display flex makes sure it basically stacks all of its children up next to each other. So the children for this top was the top left and the top right. So now that's why they're stacked next to each other. It's because we gave the parent display flex. If I go down to the CSS here in the dev tools and I uncheck this, we can see that it's now they're not stacked on top of each other. But if I add it back, I'm gonna check this box back again. We can see now that they're stacked right next to each other. That's what display flex does for us. So now that we have that part, we have this. And
How did you going back to the going back to the original screen that you had?
Use the HTML. Oh wait, this one here.
Yeah. So again, can I just share my screen to show you what I have right quick?
Sure. You put your HTML inside of your CSS.
Oh,
Yeah.
this HTML. This isn't
Right. Just up until the div. So yeah, all that. Yeah. You without that extra bracket, without
this one here.
No. Go to line 12 really quick.
This
And,
one.
yeah, put a closing curly bracket.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, keep it right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Save that and. HTML, right. you can replace line 14 through 21 with everything with everything you just copied. And then you can actually remove 15, 16, and 17. You probably want to add that back to the CSS file actually.
So that should have been a part of the CSS file. Okay.
Wait, actually, hold on. Let me help out a little bit more. What I'm gonna do, I'm copying the whole HTML file, and I want you to just delete everything you have there and just paste in what I have. That way, and I'm gonna give you the whole CSS file also. That way we definitely
All together. See, okay, that sounds good.
That's the whole HTML, and this one is the whole CSS. And you want to look like your CSS file had the reset stuff in it also. So you can add this in that same CSS file also. So you got 3 things to copy there. Yeah.
So the HTML file starts with the text that you starts with div, right?
No, you want to hold on. I'm gonna paste it in. So the thing I just pasted just now, you can copy everything inside of that. Did it copy the right way? I don't think it copied the right way.
So the HTML file starts with HTML body, comma, div, comma, span, right?
Right. So you have doc type all the way down to HTML where it says /HTML.
Doc type. Okay, doc type is the start. That's the first for the HTML.
Yeah.
And just as a general proposition, what is the language that distinguishes HTML from how should I know that was a file for CSS versus HTML?
You're saying like when you put the HTML inside of the CSS file?
Yeah, how should I have known that was incorrect?
So HTML, it looks different than the CSS. That's why the HTML uses those opening and closing tags, and the CSS, it just targets those tags. It looks different. Yeah, they just kind of look different. The syntax or like the way you write it, it just looks different.
Got it. And then in the CSS file, you copied that as well. That starts, CSS file starts with the words HTML body div, right?
Right, exactly. Yep.
So that I should just copy. So that the stuff that I have at the bottom should have just replaced everything that I had at the top, right?
I'm not sure. I'm confused. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry. Okay, do you see my screen right now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is my CSS file. Is that code correct? Or
yeah, that's good. Let me actually, I think it's probably better if I drop all of the code in the I'm gonna drop all of this code in the drive. It's probably better if you just download it because yeah, I just want to speed through it. That's why.
Got it. No worries.
Yeah,
no worries.
I just dropped the updated code in the drive. If you go there and just download it, you're gonna have everything I have. So it's in there now in a resources folder. Right, let me share my screen. Yeah, it gets difficult trying to debug it because debugging can take some time. But yeah, I'm gonna drop everything. I'm dropping everything inside of the drive, and plus like you won't be able to look back at this. I'm already recording it too. I dropped a link to my YouTube channel inside of the drive as well. And you'll see a playlist with all of these videos on there also. So yeah, but so far we have this top portion here. Now I'm going to do the same thing to get this bottom portion here. So what I'm literally going to do to just have like a quick shortcut, I'm just going to paste this down. This is the exact same thing as here. I just pasted it. And now I'm going to change some of these names. It's going to be bottom here. And this one's going to be bottom left. And this one is bottom right. And now I'm going to throw these in. I'm going to start styling these in the CSS file. Go to the main CSS. What I want is for, let me go back actually. What I want is for this whole thing to look like this, like the structure of it. So I want bottom to also have a CSS rule of display flex, because we need both of the divs within them to stack right next to each other. Just like we see in this screen here. Just like these two stack next to each other, these ones stack next to each other as well. So in order to give this one the same styling as the top, I can go to the CSS file and I can put a comma here and I can put the tag here. I mean, the ID. I can target by ID. This is, the ID was bottom. So now both top and bottom both have a CSS rule of display flex. Without doing anything else, if I go to the browser, and there's no browser. I go to this browser and then refresh. If I scroll down, let me see. All right, so nothing shows here on the screen, but the first two, because we didn't style the last two yet. So let me style bottom left and bottom right now. So since they're going to have very similar styles, I know bottom left has similar styles to top left. The only difference is the background color. So I'm going to copy and paste the width and the height from top left and put it in bottom left. And now I'm going to give bottom left a different color. And I'm going to paste in that color in the chat. The background color of bottom left is this here. Just put it in the chat. And that's like a dark purple. Now I'm going to do bottom right. So I'm copying that ID. And I'm going to copy some of this stuff that I have top right. I'm just going to replace some of this stuff. The only difference is the background color. So I'll change the background color to this here. I have that ready as well. This is the background color for that. So with bottom right, I'm going to replace this with the actual background color orange. And if anybody missed any of that, I'm going to paste in the CSS rules for the bottom left and the bottom right. If I go back here and then now refresh, now I have all four sections at the top and I have the bottom, all section how we wanted to section them as. So now that we have that, let's go back to the template. And we have the next section we're gonna do is, let's actually finish off this section. We do have like a navigation bar up top here, but we're gonna take care of that after we take care of these two sections, of this purple one and this light brown one.
Quick question, did you drop the link for the file, the Google file in the chat also?
I'll put it in the chat. It's in the group chat, but I have it here. So I'll put this in the chat since I have it open. Share. So that's to the Google Drive, and you'll find everything within the class resources and this this HTML and CSS folder. You're gonna see everything there. Project. Inside of project, you got the Reset CSS here, and you got everything here inside of the HTML project folder. So let me go back. So we're going to do this image and this text here. So the first thing I want to just sort of look at is I want to try to figure out how big this is in comparison to the purple box. The purple box is the parent of everything that's inside of it, because all of the HTML elements inside of it are the children, basically. So this first image, let me see. This one takes up, was it like 958. This is almost, so like 450. So it's about half, a little less than half technically. So I'm going to say this image takes up about, I'm gonna just do half and half. I'm gonna just do 50-50. 50 this and then 50 that, and just see how that comes out. We'll adjust it if it looks a little off. So since these are actual sections, since we're able to like put boxes around here, what I would do every time you see that you're about to create a section, you want to create a div. So this is a div, and this is also a div. Just like we created divs for all of these color boxes, it's the same concept. Anytime you see a section, just think of a div. So the first div is this one. And I'll go to the HTML. That purple box was the top left. So I'm gonna put my mouse here and then press enter to bring it down to the next line. The first one I saw was the image. So I'm gonna create a div and I'm gonna give it an ID of IMG, just as an image. The second section is here. So I'll create a div for this also, and I'll name this part, I don't even know. I'll name this one the start shopping, because it has a button called start shopping. I'll just name it that. So I'll create a div for that section here. I'll put an ID of start shopping. So we have the image here and we have the text here. Now what I'm going to do is start to style these. The first thing I want to do is make sure that they take up the amount of space that they're supposed to take up. So I'm going to go to the CSS. And let me put these two things next to each other. If you didn't know, you can literally drag the tab in VS Code and then put it to the side to have things stacked next to each other. So I got the CSS here on this side and I got the HTML here on this side. Just so we're able to see that together. So this one has an ID of IMG, right? I'm gonna target that by ID, and I'm gonna give it a height of 100% because we wanted to take up the full like percentage of this parent. When you give something a percentage, it's saying 100% of its parent. The parent is top left, so IMG is gonna have a height of this purple box here. That's what that means. And I'm going to give it a width of 50% because we wanted to take up half of that purple box. And I want this start shopping section to do the exact same thing. So instead of rewriting this whole thing over again, I'm gonna just write a comma, then I'm gonna add that here so that both of these have the same styles. They both have a height and width of the same thing, so that it's taking up the full height and width of the parent.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So you just went in with the IMG for the image in CSS, and you didn't have to go through the selector. But when I just type it in just like that with the curly brackets, I'm still getting that squiggly like error line.
Share your screen real quick. I just want to see what you have. It's probably. Let me. Oh wait, let me stop sharing. You can share yours.
I'm on a different device.
That's fine. All right. Did you put Did you put the? I think you stopped sharing. Did you put the Oh, I think I see it down here. Did you put the hashtag in front of?
Yeah, it's there.
I can't see it. You got to put it up a little bit more. Okay, yeah. So there's a squiggly line only because you didn't write anything inside of the CSS class yet. It's basically just telling,
okay.
yeah. And
Okay.
I know because well, I'm just realizing that squiggly line is yellow. I never thought of any significance, but yellow normally means warning in like the coding world. So it's probably just giving you a warning and not like an error. If that's squiggly,
So because it's not red, I'm like not totally off.
right, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Share my screen back. Yeah, so just put those two CSS rules in there, and let me paste this in the chat in case anybody missed it. So if you put those two in there, you should be able to get rid of that line. So if I go back, let me delete that really quick. If I go back to the browser and then refresh, we don't see anything here because like we haven't given it any background colors or anything like that. What I like to do, just to make sure what I put inside of there is actually inside of there, I normally just give it a background color just so that I can see it on the screen, and then I remove it later on once I know that, okay, it's actually there on the screen. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm gonna give IMG a background color of black, and I'm gonna give this the start shopping section a background color of white. So that should cover this whole purple box because it's taking up the height of 100% and the width of 50% each. So if I refresh this, I only see one thing here. So the reason for this is because is the same reason this purple box and this brown box did not stack next to each other. So these didn't stack next to each other because its parent does not have a display flex rule. So the parent for these two is top left. So now I want to give top left, I'm gonna scroll up, I'm gonna give this display flex rule as well. So that way, if I refresh this, we can see that this black box and this white box now stacks next to each other. Because that's what display flex does, it makes them stack next to each other. So now we have, did this make sense? I'm thinking I may have lost some people, I'm not sure. Yeah, what's your question?
I pretty much follow the steps. It didn't come out the way yours came out, so I'm trying to figure out what I messed up at.
Yeah,
I'm with you as well, brother.
Same, because my black box isn't that big.
Yeah, my black box ain't even there, so I'm not gonna lie.
So let's
I don't even have a black box.
So
okay, I see where. Let me try one thing record before you say something to see. Oh, all right, image. He got it on the main. That's why. That's why I ain't put a color with the image. That's why.
Mhm.
So let me try that right quick.
And I'll throw this in the chat for anybody else. And don't forget to update this on line 16 to include the top left.
You just throw the entire text of what you have into the chat again, because that would be helpful. Maybe I'll get back and pay attention.
Yeah. So this is the whole CSS. Actually, let me delete some of this random stuff here. Well, this random stuff in here. So let me copy this again and paste all of the CSS. That's everything from CSS files.
You know, one of the things it seems to it breaks the when you copy it, the files break down. So it's kind of it's not in the same.
It may, so it should, so at the very top of the message, you should see hashtag top, bottom, and top left. In the last CSS rule, all the way at the bottom, you should see start shopping.
Can you scroll up on your CSS?
Yeah. Up here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you do the top, bottom, and top left flex, so we could take out the float left under each
Oh, yeah.
ID.
Yeah, you can take that out. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you were in the, I was using float left in the last class, but this one's a lot easier to just do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely use a float left. And float left will work, but this flex is better because we can do a lot of stuff with this. We're just scratching the surface with this, with what we're doing so far with it.
Hey, for the people that watched the other class last time, wouldn't they have to create the divs too?
Right. Yeah, y'all have to your whole HTML file has to change. So that I just pasted in that CSS, and this is the whole HTML file. I would just dump that whole thing in there.
Oh shit.
Yeah, everything's different from.
Oh, so just delete what I. Okay.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
I'm on 2 different devices.
Yeah.
So you did. I'm sorry. Did you drop the new HTML file in there?
Right. Yeah.
Doc type. Okay.
Yep. Starts with doc type. Yep. And it ends all the way with HTML.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to figure out a better way to share the code. There's definitely a better way to do this. Next class, I'm gonna have it set up so that we can like you'll already have it, like have access to it, like live updates. There's something that I can use to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And just to quickly explain this again, while you're like copying the HTML CSS, I just want to just explain what I did one more time, just in case someone like missed some of it. So what I did was I created I created this parent here. This parent is top, and this is the top is literally going to represent this whole top area. That's what that div represents. And inside of that div, we have 2 children here. We have this child and we have this child. So this one here, the top left is that purple box, and the top right is this brown box here. So it's the top left and this is the top right. And if you look at this bottom piece, this bottom div represents that whole bottom. It represents this whole thing here. And the bottom left is that dark purple, and the bottom right is the orange color here. So this is bottom right and this is bottom left. And now what we've done, since we have all 4 of those divs, what we've done now is start to build up the stuff that's inside of the purple div. So I can see from here that the purple div has 2 children inside of it. It has this image here and it has this text on this text. So we have this as the image, because remember the top left is that purple div. So we have the image there and we have a section for the text, and we're just naming it Start Shopping. It could have been more descriptive, but I couldn't really think of it of a better name for that. But that's what that represents. And the reason we even gave this, we even created this top parent here, the div with the ID top, is because we knew that we wanted the 2 children to stack next to each other. And a good way to have the 2 children stacked next to each other is to give its parent a CSS rule of display flex. That's what flex does. It makes sure that the children stack next to each other on the screen. And we know that this purple box also had 2 children inside of it that stacked next to each other. The first one was this image and the second one was this text. So we know that we also wanted this, the child, which is top left, to have this, this display flex rule as well, because we wanted its children, which is the image and the text area part, to be stacked right next to each other. That's why we did that. So that's the quick summary.
You were referring to the CSS file, not the HTML file just now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For the CSS, I was only referencing the display flex, and the rest of the CSS rules is literally just giving all of the children some height, some width, and like some background color. That's basically what the rest of it does.
But I noticed that at the bottom of the the CSS file, at least that I copied and pasted, on line 34, there are no height and width for both those children. The IMG background color just has black, and the Start Shopping has white, but there's no height and width on those. I noticed.
Right. That's something that I literally just took a mental note about, because I didn't explicitly like talk about it in the course, but I gave it a height and width here up top. So you don't have to put all of the CSS rules for each thing all together. What I did, I split them up into different sections. Since I knew that section and that text section both had the same height and width, I gave them both the CSS rule, but I wanted them to have different background colors, so I had to separate it out. And that's why I split it up.
So stop going back to that. You said image and Start Shopping. I got you. You gave them both the height of 100% and 50%, and then you gave the background color. You separated them, so you could do that. Okay, I see.
Right. Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm create another video also on like something like this, because I went over CSS, but I didn't go over like different ways you can like separate out different things and stuff like that. So I'm gonna add that to the course. But yeah, that's how they got that height and width, and that's why they're covering the whole thing here. So
Can I
now,
talk to you after class?
I'm sorry. What was
Can I
it?
talk to you after class?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, bet. All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So after class, I'm always going to stay. Oh, what time is it? Oh, it's 7:58. Okay. This is a good place to stop anyway. The next class will finish the rest of it. I'm going to drop all of this code in the drive also, so everybody got all of the updated code. I want y'all to go through it, play around with it, give it different background colors, give it different height and widths, even play around with like the flex CSS rule, just so you can get more familiar with it. the next time around, since we learned this display flex stuff, I'm gonna go deeper into it once we start getting into these other components here, these other boxes here. So yeah. If there's no questions, I'll let everyone go, and I'll stay until all of the questions are answered.
I got a quick question. By Sunday, where should we have been in the actual Udemy class?
Right. I want everybody to do the JavaScript section 3.
Okay.
To complete the whole thing, but if you can complete the whole thing, it would be nice, because what I wanted to do was get the JavaScript on Sunday towards like the second half of the class. If we can get like basic components of this down, that's just like in the back of my mind. If we get that far,
So you said the whole JavaScript joint, basically?
Right, the whole JavaScript. Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep. That way, when we jump to JavaScript, we jumping in like already running. Yeah.
All right, bet.
I'm in the chat because when I tried to make I kind of messed my web page up, but I don't see none of the stuff you put in the chat for me to copy and paste it.
Okay. You say you don't see the stuff in the chat?
Yeah, you know how you copy all the code for the CSS and the HTML. Like my chat is literally blank.
Oh, okay.
Same with mine as well.
I opened it up on my I joined the meeting on my laptop so I can copy and paste it because I thought I made the right changes, but my screen, my browser is still not right.
Can you see this message? I just put hey in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is the CSS and the HTML. Let me put that one back, because I know it doesn't like save in the chat. So that's the HTML portion.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, and thank you for everybody giving me 5 stars. My course is being pushed on Udemy. So continue, whoever didn't already rate it, just whenever it asks you, just rate me 5 stars, and it's gonna keep pushing my course to other people. So yeah. Any other questions from anyone?
This is Joe Mark. I got a quick question, like a side question. I'm curious to know, since you've been doing this front-end web development, do you know of any folks who are Web3 developers by any chance in the field of smart contracts / Web3? Smart contracts are on the back end, but there's like the whole new Web3.
Web3, I don't. Not that I know of. I do know a lot of developers, but I'm not sure if any of them get into web. You said Web3, right? I remember before. Yeah, I don't know anybody specifically that does Web3.
Okay, cool. I want to continue to do some networking, just looking for people of color in the field, because I'm actually getting into this space with my current job at Accenture, where I'm building nodes and all that type of stuff. And eventually I'll be doing some Web3 prototyping. So that's why I asked. Yeah.
Wait. Actually, hold on. Shoot, I should have shared this. So there is, do you have Slack by chance?
Yes, I do.
All right. So there is a Slack channel for all Black developers. There's nothing.
Yes, I'm a part of that. The one, what is it? The DMV, Black Code Collective.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm a part of that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So anybody else want to join that? Y'all can. But yeah, I posted it in there. I don't know if you.
I have a question.
Yes. What's your question?
I was wondering, where can we access this Zoom? Because I would like to review and watch some of the stuff that I missed.
Yeah. So I have hold on, let me go to the drive. In the drive, we have, where is it? So you should have.
I didn't see the video. I saw the other files, but I didn't see the video.
The YouTube video. folder?
No, I'm talking about the Zoom video that we just recorded. Can we now?
The one that we're recording right now, you're saying?
Yeah, just kind of reviewing it to review it.
Right. So every time the class is over, I upload the video to my YouTube channel, and I'm gonna put a link to that inside of this file. That first class is the link to it is here for the YouTube video. That's here.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna just put them all here. This is class 1. I'm gonna name this class 1, class 2.
Okay.
Copy that.
Yeah, answer my question already. Appreciate it, bro.
Yep, no problem.
Have a great evening, bro. Take care.
I'm not
Thank you
sure.
very much, Isaiah. Appreciate it.
Yep,
I
no-
get caught up to the courses. That's pretty much our homework.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Run through the JavaScript. If you do the whole JavaScript, that would be even better, to be honest. Because once we jump into it in the class, we will already have momentum, basically. So.
I just want to remind everybody that on Thursday at 8 o'clock, our teacher is going to be on our podcast talking about his work and how we can help hopefully save a lot of our young people who are wilding out on our streets by getting them more excited about these types of projects that we're doing. Hopefully, going from the work that we're doing right now to the jobs that are available once we get these skills under our belt.
Yeah. And let me actually, I completely forgot to drop this link in the drive. I'm gonna drop the YouTube link if anybody want to watch it. So I'm gonna do that now actually, so I won't forget.
And you know what we can do also on that day, we can do both a YouTube broadcast, Facebook, and then we can use our phones and we can just do also Instagram for people who
Oh, right.
Yeah, folks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Let's see if I can set it up. Set up my Instagram just so I can do that too. Where is this YouTube link? It's here somewhere. Okay, here it is. Yeah. So let me share my screen one more time so I can show everybody on the recording where that link is going to be. So I'll put it inside of class resources, and I'll just put it inside of like a doc here, and then I'll drop the YouTube link inside of it, and you can just copy and paste it whenever it's time to watch. My computer's a little slow. That was 7 o'clock, right? For the Talib.
That's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
You got the calendar invite?
Yeah. I'm trying to paste the link in. I don't know if
you need me to give you the link?
No, I have it. I have the email here. I'm trying to paste the link in, but for some reason it's not pasting. I think it's because I was sharing my screen. I think my computer might be slowing down from that. Okay, I just now pasted it in there. So you'll see that in the, let me share my screen again. Share. Everyone should see that inside of this doc here. EPM podcast. Okay. You'll see that here in the drive. As soon as this title updates, it's going to say APM podcast. Anybody else have any questions?
Do you have a minute?
Yeah. I'm gonna stay until everyone's questions. Yep. Yeah, I'm here.
Can I share my screen? I just wanted to go over with you the code so we get a better understanding of it, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah. Yep. Sure. Let me stop sharing mines. Okay. For now.
Okay. So, all right.
Everything looks good so far. Background.
Yeah, no, it is the same. I just want to get an understanding. First of all, how did I, you had both your screens, the HTML,
next to each other.
the HTML screen and you had them side by side. How do you do it?
Right.
Hold it like
So
hold
hold
it. You want to put it this way, you want to put it this way. You
No,
can do that.
no, he had it
Yes.
where he had one screen.
Yeah, then you just put it.
Yeah, make the text editor full screen.
Okay.
You don't have to split it like that. Yeah, just put a full screen really quick.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
is the text editor full screen? I got it. Mhm.
So now what you want to do, you see that the HTML, the tab all the way up top. If you click and drag that to the yep, keep dragging it. Yep, you can even split it that way too. Yeah, just drag it one more time. So you see this blue area, that is where it's going to drop to. So if you keep going to the right side, you're going to see that blue square. You see it now.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can even put 4 different screens here. Like you can split this up into 4s if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go
That.
like really nicely.
So generally, do you normally put your HTML to the left or to the right?
Honestly, I don't really use the split feature for some reason. I don't know. I have a really big screen, but for some reason I don't do it.
Oh, so, but you had it split though at one point, right?
Right, during class, yeah. But me personally, you're saying like me personally, like at work, or just like I guess in class, whichever one, it doesn't really matter for me. But like personally, I don't never really split the screen.
Now, but it seems to me that by splitting the screen that we can now kind of go over like how one set of code is interfacing with the other, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, it definitely makes sense to split the screen, but weirdly enough, like if my brain sees all of that stuff, it just gets like so many thoughts go through my head. So it's almost like I have to like look through a keyhole. Like I have to focus on like one file at a time. So, okay, this is that. And then it goes to CSS to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was my first question. Now my second question is do you mind going through the lines to I know in the CSS file I got that pretty much down that they're the parents. That the parents are top left, top right, and then the children are. You said the children are bottom left and bottom right. Is that what you said?
Yeah. No? So if you look at the HTML file, we can tell like which ones are parents and children. So the parents are like the outer divs, like the divs that are the outer divs. Whenever you start putting HTML elements inside of other HTML elements,
those become the children. I got you. So starting on line 15, the first div is the parent, div ID top, right? And then the child is the div ID top left. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Gotcha. Yeah, but the child happens to be a parent also because it has stuff inside of it. Yeah.
Now, now going to the CSS file, you have top left ID equals top or div ID equals top left, and that's referencing the CSS language, right? Where we say that top left is equal, has a width of 70 VW and height of 100 VH, right? That's what you're doing, right?
Right, exactly. And the reason we put those hashtags is because we're referencing IDs. Whenever you reference an ID, you have to put a hashtag and then the name of the ID.
Now, so just to go back a step, just go back a step. The HTML file is the container, and the CSS file is the colors or in the formatting inside of that, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why the colors are in the CSS file, and the and really what we're doing is building brackets in HTML. Is that right?
Right.
Or containers.
Yeah. So
Right.
technically you can put CSS inside of HTML, but I didn't teach that, and I didn't even teach that in my course because it's bad practice. We don't have to separate them, but we
Yeah, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll keep my mind on what you've taught me for now, but I appreciate that as an FYI down the road. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate that that breakdown.
Any other questions?
Somebody said, "Do we have homework?" The homework is just to get up to lesson 3, as you said, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Start on section 3. Right now, everyone should have section 1 and 2 already done. So start on section 3 and just try to like finish it. If you can't finish it, it's fine. Just try to get as much done as possible.
Are you able to see our progress of each student on your dashboard?
Yeah, I am. I wasn't going to tell you that I can see it, but yeah, I can see it. I didn't want anybody to feel pressure.
Okay, no worries. We got some work to do, man. My wife over here, we behind, but we about to step it up.
I can see everyone's progress. I try to look at it too much because I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe other people who have other resources, maybe the course is not their main. So I can't really judge how much someone knows based off the progress. So yeah.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yep. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right. If not, I'll just end it here. Everyone looks like they're on mute, maybe away from the screen.
Have a good one.
See ya.